on my heart. Um, I'm gonna kind of be doing some snippet videos probably for the next couple of weeks. I just really felt like this is more than like a one sitting kind of bite off and try to chew kind of situation. I also was talking to a friend of mine yesterday, and well, a couple of us, and we decided that this is even a great topic for like a roundtable discussion. But just for the sake of overall, I feel like there's just so many things that are just kind of like cultural hot buttons and buzzwords and places where it almost feels like you're being forced into a politically correct area. Like you either comply or you become like thrown to the sides of like society as and kind of like given a term that's really inaccurate and also very like unkind. But I wanted to specifically speak out on today the topic of gender identity and true identity, or versus true identity. And the reason I'm saying versus is because people, I mean, we know that for thousands and thousands of years, when people gave birth, that they were either male or female. It also says in scripture that God created them male and female. So there is a space where there's like a gender that is part of the way we were created. That is a very important part of our existence. But I feel like it's become something that it was never intended for. And a lot of people in society are wrapping their entire identity around like what they deem themselves to be. And now we have definite, like we have these pronouns that are being expected, and even in my opinion, pronouns are being imposed upon people. And I'm going to use the word imposed specifically because a lot of people are like, well, you're being really disrespectful if you don't use people's approved pronouns. Well, first of all, when I look at someone, I know by just using my brain pretty much what they were created to be. Even if they have been in a process of transition, I can look at them and I can identify what God created them as. And it's very hard for me, with the way that I was created, to try and basically pretend something else. It feels very disingenuous to me. But it's also this kind of thing where now there's definitions to explain what a woman is, and that's changed so much because it's very hurtful for people that want to be included into some kind of definition, but they're like, I can't just be a biological female anymore. I have to be this cisgender gender. And I'm really kind of like blown away because it's like, since when did we start identifying ourselves in pronouns? Why are we identifying instead of just being like, I am this kind of person and it's about our character and it's about about who we are as a person? Why are we making it all about how we sexually want to be perceived? I realized something because I was praying about it this week a lot. And besides the fact that I feel very convicted about, I don't ever want to be defined as cis anything, even though like they can say that it means a certain thing. I am a biological female because that's the way I was created. And I will always be a female because that was the way I was created. But I'm not a cis. I'm not a specific anything other than a me. But I don't think all the time. I am a female, so my brain is going to work that way, but I don't all the time go into the world thinking about it and just like because I'm a girl, I'm gonna think like this. Like, I just think because I think. Like, I think because I'm a person with character and with like moral standing and what I view through like the way that I was raised and stuff. That's what makes me up. And I think that it's kind of an interesting thing because so many people have become highly sensitive to gender identity, and that being the whole person. Like, whatever you identify as is what you are, and that is your identity. And I think that we're experiencing a bit of a crisis globally, and it's because actually we we were created in like the way that the Lord actually designed family to function in a way that provides us what we need growing up so that we can become who we were meant to be. And a lot of the way that people are brought up is how they will perceive themselves. It's where they get the information. It's where they get the support and the structure. And mothers, we do know this very well, is mothers are nurturing. They're the ones that will come and pick us up and love on us when we fall down or get a boo-boo. Mothers are the ones that will, if someone says a mean word to you, they'll just be like, oh, they don't know what they're talking about. Don't listen to them. You know, and it's more out of this, like, it's a pacification, which isn't wrong at all. We need someone to be our cheerleader, someone to stand in our corner and say, I love you no matter what anyone says about you, no matter who you are. And a mom is kind of that person. The mom's job and role in the family is to create a soft landing and a comfortable place for our hearts. But the father in a family, in a typical healthy role, is actually supposed to speak to the conflicted areas in our life, the places where we have question marks, and to say, I know who you are. This is who you are. This is what you are going to grow up to be. And not in a domineering way, but in a supportive and in a encouraging way, in a way that actually brings clarity. And we are in a crisis right now in our nation, but also globally, where we have experienced a literal pandemic of fatherlessness. I know that a pandemic is a word that we're really aware of right now, and it creates probably a little bit of visceral trauma, but it is a serious problem that there has been so little fathering in our life. There's been so little fathering in people's existence that it's created an issue for so many people to really know themselves. And if you don't know yourself, then you're going to experience a lot of confusion about who you are. So I went into kind of this process of unpacking some things. This is ending up a little longer than I thought, but I'll try and make it condensed. I may go in and share more of my personal story later. But I was a product of a broken home. I grew up a good part of my life not with my father. And I also, I do love my dad very much. And he's a good man. But I did experience abuse in some of the way that he presented who I was to myself when I was around him. It made me very insecure about my ability to be a valuable, desirable woman to any man. And as a female, girls by their dad are meant to be affirmed as like this treasured, like, maybe not princess, but princess. Like, for some people, maybe that's not a great feeling, but dads are supposed to make their daughters feel like they're literally beautiful and a gift to the world, and that they have support and provision and strength behind them, so that when they make decisions out of strength and not out of weakness. And I didn't have that support growing up. I was really discouraged in that space and made to feel like I was very much lacking and very not beautiful. And I did experience a lot of different things that would create confusion growing up in middle school, and a lot of bullying, a lot of really hurtful things. And again, I will probably expound on this more because I think inclusion is necessary. I even had like moments when people would try to say horrible things to me. Like I wore a ponytail one day, and just because my hair was pulled back, I've always been like taller, and this I think is just the meanness of kids, but two people were like, "Oh, you look like a boy." And when you're super young and you're still like trying to like I didn't have any sense of stability in my life, of someone in my life that would tell me the truth and tell me good, like positive things about my worth and my value. And it made me feel very much like they were, like, even though what they were saying was horribly wrong, it made me question like if I was ugly and if I would ever be beautiful, and just like horrible things. And I developed a mindset of self-shame and like self-hatred. And I even like a lot of people have like their own stories. I experienced like body shaming from the church and from all kinds of stuff, like a lot of different situations in my life that I could share. But I will tell you, even though I experienced all of that, and even though I didn't have the support that I needed for me to grow up healthy in an identity that was positive, and and not damaged, I did have a relationship with God. And I feel like the one thing that is redeeming in every situation, no matter how rough your situation in life is, no matter how confused you've felt, no matter how badly the world has tried to coin you by the circumstances, by what people say, like if you behave a certain way and people are like, oh, well, you're probably gay because of this, or you're probably, you should just be a boy because you look like a boy, or you should just be a girl because like you just want to wear girl stuff and do girl things. And like those confusing statements towards young people are extremely harmful and abusive and not helpful. But because I had a relationship with God, even when I was still in the midst of a lot of hard things and a lot of pain and feeling pretty horrible about myself, I wasn't as shaken up about like that could define me. I didn't allow what people said negatively about me to be the definition of my life, or even like thoughts. Like none of that confined me or identified me. I just kind of lived in like a self-hatred bubble for a while, which I think a lot of people deal with, is self-hatred. That's actually the root. It's a bigger problem. Self-hatred is a massive problem in our world right now and in our generation. That's why people are mutilating themselves, because they hate themselves. They hate themselves. They're mutating themselves out of their own self-hatred. And the answer isn't to mutate. It doesn't fix anything. But what does actually bring change, and what helped me, was years later, God just like slowly started addressing the pain and allowing me to let him have it, to let him experience the pain I was going through of the self-hatred and the lack of value that I had for myself. And there was one night in particular where I stood in front of a mirror and God had me talk to myself in loving ways and in kind ways that I never wanted to, and felt even cringy, and it was uncomfortable. But something broke in me that night, and over time, God has literally become the voice that defines who I am. And he was the one that made me from the first place. The Father is the one in society that's supposed to help bring your identity. But God, the Father, is perfect. And he is the Father first and foremost. He is the one that is the artist that created each of us. He never makes mistakes. He didn't make a mistake in creating you because he knew what he was doing. He's had a beautiful plan for your life from the start. And just because there was a lack of fathering or a lack of affirming, a lack of valuing who you are, doesn't mean that you're lacking. According to him, he knows who you're always supposed to be. And he's the one that is able to bring that identity that you need and the value and the worth. And the identity is not in your genitalia. And it's not in who you have sex with or who you feel that you should love. That is not identity. Identifying as a gay person or as a straight person, I don't identify as a straight person. Like, people want everybody to identify by who we want to make intercourse with. I don't even know, because it doesn't feel like love when it's so focused on who we can have sex with. It feels like it's a using thing. But like, this is the thing that I've been feeling so strongly. Those are not the things that define us. What defines us is who we are to the core, who we are deep down. And so I just really wanted to share that with you guys. I have more ideas and more things I've been going through, and I just will probably talk more about it again, but I just wanted to share that with you all. Have an incredible day. God bless you guys, and I will talk to you again soon. Oops, I can't seem to get off from here.